evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on MTV Sports live from the News First studios here in Colombo. I'm Nadim Majid.
And I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. First a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
In your headlines tonight, India reiterates the need to implement a political solution that goes beyond the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Chairman of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association says that abandoned their strike due to threats. Journalists question Minister Kehelia on whether politicians charged with various crimes will be given nominations. Also in local news, another set of skeletal remains discovered in Kurunegala.
And now the stories in detail. India has once again reiterated the need for a political settlement that would go beyond the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. According to a report published on the Hindu newspaper, Indian National Security Advisor Shiv Shankar Menon had stressed on this during his recent visit to Sri Lanka.
Indian National Security Advisor Shiv Shankar Menon, who arrived in the country recently on a two-day visit, met with President Mahinda Rajapaksa and high-ranking officials. Menon had emphasized the need for Sri Lanka to fulfill its commitment to India and the international community regarding a political settlement that goes beyond the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Speaking to the Indian media after meeting with President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Menon said, quote,
"We have made our views clear on how we would like to see much more positive and forward movement towards reconciliation and a political resolution of the various issues which have led to ethnic politics being so polarized and fragmented in Sri Lanka in the past."
Unquote. The Indian National Security Advisor also expressed views on the talks held in Sri Lanka. Quote,
"They told me their plans, and as friends and very close neighbors, we exchanged opinions. It is our hope, of course, that they are successful in building a Sri Lanka in which every community feels at home, feels master of their own destiny, and feels that they have a strong stake in the success of society and country as a whole. And we will continue to work with our friends in Sri Lanka to that end."
Unquote. This is incidentally the third occasion within a span of a month where India has emphasized on the need for a political settlement that would go beyond the 13th Amendment. Earlier, Indian Foreign Minister Salman Khurshid emphasized on this during a meeting with Minister of Economic Development Basil Rajapaksa in India. Speaking to the BBC recently, Deputy Minister of the Indian Prime Minister's Office V. Narayanaswamy expressed displeasure over attempts made by Sri Lanka to amend the powers vested in the provincial councils. Narayanaswamy noted that as the Indo-Sri Lanka Accord is an international agreement, amendments should be made to it with the agreement of both parties involved in it. President Mahinda Rajapaksa, during talks with Indian National Security Advisor Shiv Shankar Menon yesterday, had said that the Parliamentary Select Committee is the best forum to reach a consensus on the implementation of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. President Rajapaksa stressed that the structure that is implemented should apply and be acceptable to all parts of the country.
In other local news, journalists questioned Minister Kehelia Rambukwella during the cabinet media briefing held today on India's stance that a political solution that would go beyond the 13th Amendment to the Constitution is necessary.
The stance of the government is that there is a Parliamentary Select Committee. We have requested views to be submitted to the committee. Whether the solution goes beyond or goes back is up to them. We have no need to lie. This issue is intertwined with India. It is not wrong to be of the stance that this is an internal issue and that an internal solution is necessary. If this is to become a reality, then everything should be implemented. However, this does not happen. If we try to resolve this internally, the opposition goes to Geneva and other countries and even to NGOs. We need to look at this issue with an open mind. The best thing that can be done is come before the Parliamentary Select Committee and speak. Should we do away with this merely because the opposition does not take part? Should we withdraw all bills that are tabled merely because the opposition walks out? No, we cannot do that. We cannot override the PSC. In political science, the Select Committee is used as a basic tool for implementing a democratic process. If we are to go beyond it, then a decision has to be taken from there.
At the cabinet media briefing held today, journalists questioned whether nominations will be granted at the upcoming provincial council elections to those who are alleged to have been involved in various criminal and corrupt activities.
සාම නාම යෝජනා පත්‍ර කමිටිය නම් කළා නේ අද නම් කරයි. යෝජනා මේ කියන්නේ කමිටියද පත් කිරීමේ කමිටියද? ඉල්ලීමක් කරලා තිබ්බොත් කතා කරලා නෑ ඒක හරියට එහෙම දෙන්නේ නැහැ කිව්වනේ ඉතින් මගෙන් ආයෙ අහන්නේ ඉතින් ඔබතුමා දානගෙන මගෙන් අහන්නේ මොකද මම නොමිනේෂන් හරි දැන් එහෙම නේ තුමා කිව්වනම් එතුමාගෙන් අහන්න ඕනේ ඒක මම දන්න විදියට
මනස්පාන ආයතනවල ඉන්න විවිධ සභාපතිවරු උපසභාපතිවරු විවිධ
චෝදනාවල්
අත්අඩංගුවටපත් වෙනවා රක්ෂිත බන්ධනාගාරගත කිරීම මේ වගේ අයවලුන්ට නාම යෝජනා ලබා දෙනවා
නේද ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මෙහෙමයි අපි මූලික නීතියක් රටක තියෙනවනේ ඒ මූලික නීතියේ තියෙන දෙයක් තමයි සැකකරුවෙක් සහ වරදකරුවෙක් කියන අතර වෙනස සැකකරුවෙක් කියනක ඕන කෙනෙකුට සැකකරුවෙක් වෙන්නට පුළුවන් හැබැයි රටේ පවතින නීතියත් එක්ක ඔහු සැකයකින් තොරව වෙන තීන්දුවකින් වරදකරුවෙක් වුවොත් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඔවුන්ට නාම යෝජනා පත්‍ර ලබා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. සැකකරුවෙක් වෙන්නට පුළුවන්. ඉතින් අහිංසක මිනිස්සුත් සැකකරුවෝ වෙනවා හිට පුළුවන්.
මේ වැරදි සිද්ධ කරන කිසිම කෙනෙකුට සමාව දෙන්න බෑ. සමාව දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ.
Those who commit such wrongs should not and will not be forgiven. The highest form of punishment should be given to them. We will take disciplinary action based on the party constitution. We will not grant them nominations. This has been done before and it will be done in the future. However, if it goes beyond that and a serious crime has been committed, then a punishment should be meted out based on the law of the country and the provisions in the penal code.
දණ්ඩ නීති සංග්‍රහයේ තිබෙන විධිවිධාන තුල ඒ සියලු දෙනාට දඬුවම් පැමිණිය යුතුයි.
Well, time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Bringing in people from entirely different areas and changing the entire competition. It is natural migration.
What these poisonous fangs are all about.
That President Rajapaksa reiterated his commitment to have the election held in September.
Different opinions, doctor, that have been put on the table right now.
Even after the revolution, is it that they were scared?
The Committee to Protect Journalists has requested the Commonwealth to ensure that the Sri Lankan government does not prohibit access to foreign and local journalists who seek to cover the events surrounding the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that will be held in Colombo in November. Addressing a letter to Kamlesh Sharma, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, the CPJ said that such an effort on the part of the Commonwealth would go far as to show its commitment to advancing Commonwealth values of media freedom.
Human skeleton remains were found in a shrubbery area in Kurunegala. According to the police, the skeleton remains were discovered during search operations carried out following a tip-off.
The human skeleton remains were discovered yesterday in a shrubbery area located near the Ibbagala Rajamaha Viharaya atop the Athugala in Kurunegala. The police said that a national identity card and a backpack were discovered close to the remains. The police say that the deceased was a 47-year-old male from Dilkoda. We visited a house in Delkoda this morning said to be that of the deceased. However, the residents told us that he was not related to them. They also told us that the deceased was from Makula and he had stayed at the house for some time on friendly terms. In the recent past, the discovery of human skeleton remains was reported from different parts of the island. The most recent discovery was made on the 2nd of this month when a human skull and other skeleton remains were discovered in a drain down Sri Mahaviharamawati in Kohula. The skull and other bone fragments were handed over to the science faculty of the Sri Jawaharlal University for further tests. On the 29th of June, human skeleton remains were discovered in the Mahakanadarawa area in Mihintale. The police said that the skeletal remains were discovered when a pit was being dug at a house in the area. The police added that extensive investigations are underway.
On the
18th of May, the skeletal remains of two persons were discovered atop the Yakdesagala mountain in Kurunegala. We got to know about such incidents from various parts of the country, including the north and the south. We also got to know of incidents of this nature from Matale and Kurunegala. This indicates the wave of crimes and mass murders that have taken place across the country. The government is responsible to conduct investigations. These investigations should be conducted in a reliable manner. Investigations should not be conducted by a few people who have been appointed to a committee. Investigations should be conducted within the legal framework of the country. The government is responsible to grant justice to the deceased and bring the perpetrators before the law by conducting DNA tests, identification tests, and or any other tests.
Meanwhile, the story behind the mass grave discovered in Matale remains a mystery. News First toured the Matale district yesterday after receiving information on a number of past murders.
The village of Palutava is located 2 kilometers away from the Kimbisa junction on the Dambulla-Sigiriya main road.
According to the people of Palutava, 23 individuals were taken away on one night in 1989. Only one individual, Abe Ratna Banda, returned alive. What exactly happened?
Abe Ratna Banda mama samath wuna. Mama මොකද උනේ ඊට පස්සේ?
At around 10 or 11 p.m. I heard a sound similar to firecrackers exploding, but it was gunfire. My elder brother and I were in the house. They dragged us out. They took my brother away. I was able to put on a shirt before they took me away. I was kept on the street with Ran Banda from the opposite house and we were beaten for about half an hour.
Were you there when this happened? Did any one of you know
Abe Ratna invited us to the location where he was taken to along with a group of others. Palinga Manika, who we met on our travels, also spoke with us.
They told us that they would take a statement and send them back. They said that they had to obtain statements from both of them. My son was around 23 years of age and the other person was 25. He was going to become a father. We received information that he was killed near the temple.
This is the location Palinga Manika spoke about.
My son was on this train along with my son-in-law.
She noted that the remains of 3 others were also discovered here. Incidentally, Abe Ratna was initially taken to a location in close proximity to this. We were taken to this well. We were told that there were guns inside the well and we were asked to retrieve it. We dived and brought up mud from the bottom to show them. However, they removed stones from the well and threw it onto us. Then they told us to come back up. Our hands were tied behind our backs and we were taken into a van to the Kimbisa junction. According to Abe Ratna, the vehicle they were travelling in had headed towards Palutava once more. We were told to sit down and we were shot at. I jumped to this side and each person who was shot at collapsed on me. After a while I got up, there was no one around. Then I walked behind this house. People were shot dead all along the road. I saw it with my own eyes.
I am at a location where 17 dead bodies were placed.
The families requested for the remains, however they put everything into a van and took it to Dambulla.